Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Modern Investing on Bot TV. My name is Sasha Starr, and today's guests are Dr. Milan Somberg. Welcome to the show, Milan.
Delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I will have to leave by 1:30, and I hope to be able to say at least something useful before I go.
We'll start with whatever useful you have to say. And also, we have a producer for Bot TV, Mark Lee. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Glad to be here. Glad to be in this conversation with y'all. It's always good to learn about investments and things that you can invest in. I was actually thinking about an investment that I might be making later today, and it's probably a wasteful investment, Sasha. But this is what they call March Madness here in the United States, and I always do one of those lovely fantasy pools. It usually only costs me about $10, but there's always the possibility that I might win something. Even former President Barack Obama has put out his pool, and I have not got mine yet and everything. But $5, $10, and maybe I'll win a couple of thousand or a couple of 100,000. But I figure it's something I do for fun every year. But we'll see how it all plays out.
Good luck, Mark. And in the meantime, today is Wednesday. Markets are slightly higher, but everybody is waiting for Fed's decision on interest rates at 2 o'clock. So basically nothing substantial is happening at all. It's trading a little bit higher, a little bit lower, and here and there. So it's just market is in a holding mood today, and it's understandable. So Milan, back to you. Please tell us something.
Well, you're talking about the high interest rates today. You know that certificates of deposit and guaranteed investment certificates in Canada are now yielding more than they ever have before, and conservative investors don't need anything else but to invest in guaranteed investment certificates or certificates of deposit. That's all that's needed. But now, what I wanted to talk about for a minute is our fund portfolio, which nobody needs. We need a core portfolio, and so historically, over the long term, properly selected U.S. market index exchange-traded funds held in tax advantage accounts in an appropriate asset allocation have been the best place to invest and will remain so for many, many years. You can do better than that, but you're taking chances. So I'm going to talk about that now, about fund portfolio. And so what's available today, Europe isn't where American and Canadian investors generally think of investing. But now, with what's happening in the war in Ukraine and in Israel, Germany's Rheinmetall and Sweden's SAB have shot up enormously, 60% now or more. And so if you are a momentum investor, which is what Sasha Starr promotes, that idea, then those are good companies to look into. Rheinmetall, the symbol is RHM, and SAB, the symbol is SAAB. Those who have a fund portfolio could look at those companies because they have shot up enormously and are liable to continue doing that because trends last a long time before they reverse themselves. Ultimately, they will reverse themselves, but as Sasha and I spoke last week, the trend is your friend until it isn't. So if we pay attention to those two companies, European companies, we could make a lot of money in our fund portfolio.
I'll tell you about your theory of momentum investing as it applies to me. Obviously, what I'm doing is not momentum investment by any stretch of imagination. Because, as I said previously, and I'll repeat it today, I'm making much more money in options by selling options, both puts and calls, than on stock itself.
Yes,
I'm not doing so badly with the stock. I'm not complaining, but I'm making much more money on options, selling options, both puts and calls. Would you call that a momentum investing?
You're right, Sasha. And selling, we should only sell puts and calls. And so selling calls in a tax advantage account is profitable until we are called away and the stock is taken away from us and we're in cash. Once we're in cash, we can sell cash covered puts and stay there until the security is put to us. Now we're back into the owning the security. We can sell covered calls on it. But in Canada, we're not allowed to do that in tax advantage portfolios. In the
Ivan, you're lamenting about that not the first time, and I think it's a weak excuse because you are foregoing a very profitable strategy because of your reluctance to pay tax, and I think it's incredibly unjustified approach because I don't mind paying taxes as long as I'm making money.
Sasha, you're absolutely right, Sasha. Warren Buffett said that in his lifetime of investing, which is for more than 60 years, he has never seen a deal not take place because of the tax consequences. Ignore the tax consequences because you sooner or later have to pay tax. You want to live in North America, you have to pay North American taxes. So
Milan, I would suggest then forget about tax advantages accounts because you're foregoing very substantial annual profits just because you don't want to do it in your normal trading account because there will be tax consequences. So you're foregoing, let's see, you can make easily probably 100 grand a year. So you'll pay your 30,000 plus tax. But the remaining 60 some $1,000 is yours, tax free to use. You can go to Aruba, you can do anything what you want.
Sasha, you're right, except for one thing, and that's most Canadians and probably Americans too would have most of their investments in tax advantage accounts. It's only and we recommend that to first top up your tax advantage accounts maximally. And only when the tax advantaged accounts are topped up, only then should you invest outside of them.
Okay, how do you understand tax advantage account? Okay, so you make profit of say $100,000 and you don't need to pay taxes this year.
You don't have to pay taxes until you withdraw it. Ultimately, you will have to withdraw it and you'll be paying taxes then. Yeah.
So your only remedy not to paying taxes is to die. Because if you are not, you're gonna sooner or later you're gonna pay taxes.
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
I wrote a letter. Isn't that the famous quote that folks said, which is that there are only certain inevitabilities, and one of them is death, and that you will have to pay taxes. So I think that was a famous quote. I forgot which gentleman from history said it, but it is definitely a quote that has been out there for a while, that there are certain things that are inevitabilities, and those are two of those.
There's a third one, Mark. Death and taxes are the only inevitability, they say. There's a third one, and that's a dental extraction. When a dentist extracts the tooth, I guarantee you will not have another one there.
That is true. Hey,
one you still can have.
Sasha, I did have a question for you because it was actually asked to me earlier as we were in between shows and everything, but I know that you're a big fan of NVIDIA, and apparently there is a major conference going on, the GPU Tech Conference that is going on, that is featuring NVIDIA and their CEO, Jensen Huang, and everything. So I was wondering if you watched that and if any of this new development, because actually our good friend Jacoby had brought it up to my attention and everything, but apparently they've announced some new partnerships, including some partnerships with major people like Google and Apple and a number of others, and they've unveiled the world's most powerful chip. So I was wondering if this is going to help you even further go into NVIDIA, as this is where you're making a lot of your money now, and whether you had watched that particular press conference. Like I said, I did not, but Jacoby said he did, and he was impressed with what he heard. But I was wondering if you watched it and if it's helping you in your investments.
Yes, I watched it. Very impressive. I saw interview Jim Cramer with Jensen. And the second part of the interview will be aired today at 6 o'clock on Mad Money on CNBC. Look, NVIDIA doesn't need my recommendations because it's a top stock, top story for the last 50, if not 100 years. Nothing can come even close to that. The NVIDIA is so far ahead of everybody else. They are actually they're simplifying some of their products for other companies to be able to buy them and to
Right.
use for whatever needs they have, and they're very successful at that. So the fact that the stock will be well over $1,000 a share, again, you don't need me. The chart will show you that. Uh, if you look at the chart of Nvidia, yeah, there is a very peculiar situation when it went very quickly. I'm talking about last year. It went very quickly from 200 to 500. Now, at 500, it had resistance for about, I would say, a few weeks, probably months, maybe a little bit longer. It was going to 500 and back, and 500 and back. It couldn't cross 500 for a long time. Now, finally, when it did cross 500, it went all the way to 950 non-stop. It's like a vertical line because all sellers, they get out of the stock at around 500 level. So from that point on, there were only buyers, no sellers, and you know what's happening with the stock when it goes vertical thing up. Now, it got resistance at around 900 to 950, which is very healthy for the stock. But then I think fundamental support is around I'll take a low figure, although it's unrealistic, but I'll say 750 to 900. This is a trading area where the stock is now, although it's much closer to 900 than 750. I'm not sure if we will ever see 750, but everything is possible. A recession, Fed will increase interest rates today to 15.5%. Everything is possible. So I think 750 is a lower range for NVIDIA. Around 900, 9 to 950 there is a resistance. Once it will break through this resistance, the next stop is 1200 to 1250. That's where NVIDIA is heading, and it's just a matter of time. Is their next earning around May 22nd, I believe. So that will be a very, very important day because, see, all these high multiples, they can be realistic only if they will be supported by very substantial earnings.
Yeah.
As soon as there will be no earnings, the NVIDIA can go back to 750 to maybe 550, maybe even lower.
Well,
But-
Sasha, how much longer can NVIDIA go up? You know, it's been said that if you stay in business long enough, you're going to go bankrupt ultimately. So if you take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Index stocks, 30 of them there or 20, I don't know, I've forgotten. 30. You take a look at them when the Dow Jones Industrial Index was founded, none of them that were founded originally are there anymore.
No, I said General Motors, but it's a
General Motors.
After reorganization. Yeah, you're right, Mel. You see, with the NVIDIA situation is you have to look at their business model, see their competition, see their market share, and see how lucrative is the market. You know, their profit margins well over 50%. So you have to see, and you can just agree that as long as earnings will be supporting their multiples, the stock will go higher. It can go to 2,000 easily, as to 2,500 just as well. Well, look at the Broadcom. Now, Broadcom doesn't have that pedigree what NVIDIA has, but even Broadcom easily went from 600-700. It's now trading at 1,250. It was
for every buyer of NVIDIA, there is a seller. Why are sellers selling?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. First of all, NVIDIA has lately attracted a lot of day traders and a lot of people who want to make what you call momentum investing. And if day traders are buying, let's say on the opening today, NVIDIA was around 900. Let's see, you bought the stock, there is a conference, there are so many things going on, but stock went down to 892. Okay, they're losing now $8 on each share, so even just 100 shares, it's $800 loss. Now, what to do? You see, these trading houses for day traders, as much as I understand, they don't charge any fees if you close your trade at the end of the day. So let's see, to buy even 100 shares of NVIDIA, we are talking about $90,000. Not every day trader has $90,000 in his account. A lot of them have 5,000, 10,000. But if you close your trade during the day, you're paying no interest, no fees, nothing, no margin.
There was an interesting study done in Brazil of over 20,000 day traders, and it showed that a very small percentage of them, fewer than 1%, make the equal of a minimum wage in Brazil. Day
Wow.
trading, just the brokers make money, Wall Street makes money, investors generally don't make money. We discourage people from day trading. It can be a lot of fun, maybe, and so from that perspective, okay, go ahead and day trade, but it's similar to going to Las Vegas in many ways.
Hey,
So,
Milan, along those same lines and everything, just really quickly, I did see recently that a president here in the United States, that being President Biden, is putting out some initiatives to phase out. As a matter of fact, he did an executive order, and it came out today, where he's going to try to phase out gas cars. I guess he's going to try to go more electrical and all in that space. So, how will that impact a company like General Motors? Because I'm thinking that they're going to have to refit their cars in order to accommodate something other than gas, and I'm thinking that that could impact their stock as well. So I was just wondering y'all's take on that, because I'm thinking like this could even be something that could be politically hurtful and definitely hurtful in terms of a stock option. But I was just wondering y'all's thoughts on that, because this is something he announced today, that he's going to try to put in some initiatives to have gas cars phased out.
Marco, it's not going to happen overnight. It will take several years before it will be implemented. I think it's good news for Tesla because not only it's already in the market quite substantially, but it's also provide the recharging stations, which are now adopting the same format. So the same Tesla chargers will be available for all other electric cars. It's also good for even General Motors or Ford or others, because they are increasing their electric cars production, and because of their distribution factor, I think that they should be able to fight Tesla quite easily.
you know that the Adam Smith type of free market capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty and created greater wealth than any other system out. But it does have its dark side, and I think Detroit epitomizes that to the greatest extent. For instance, Detroit was able to remove streetcar tracks from every community in North America except Toronto and San Francisco. A streetcar can take maybe 40 to 60 cars off the road. They want those cars on the road. That's one thing that they've done. The other thing is they change models every year, so that you're driving an old model the very next year. And so the evils of free market capitalism are demonstrated to a greater extent by Detroit than by any other organization.
And Milan, as you were saying that, I was just thinking that here in Durham, North Carolina, where I'm based at, there are a number of old train tracks that are still laying here in the ground, because they were one of those areas that you're talking about. There's still the main track that goes down that carries Amtrak and some of the other major folks that are doing freight delivery and everything. But there are tracks that are no longer here because of what you just said. We had gone away from the train track system and more into a road system. So those tracks have been built over, but they still exist, because I know of even where some are and everything, but they are not as prevalent as they used to be. Sasha, I did have another quick question for you and everything. And it's about NVIDIA, because I know that part of what NVIDIA is about is virtual reality and the headsets and everything. So are we going to see more people interested in it as an investment opportunity? Are we going to see more people that are having those headsets? Because I think I've told you before that even my young nephews have those Oculus sets, and there are a number of others that have gotten into virtual reality. And I think the CEO even predicted that there will be a greater saturation of the market with people getting involved. But I was wondering your take on that, and whether this is something that we'll see more people having to have, just like we had a time that everybody had to have a radio. Now it seems like everybody's got a TV. I know I've got multiple TVs in this apartment, and I'm sure that people at some point will have to have multiple headsets. But I just wanted your take as to why that might be a reason for it to be a continuing good investment, because everybody's going to want to have that headset to be connected.
There are a lot of points why NVIDIA is a very lucrative investment. And headsets, probably, I'm not a big enthusiast about this. And also, don't forget, NVIDIA is not a consumer oriented company. They are dealing business to business model mostly, which is much more lucrative and the better margins, of course, virtually no competition. So, okay, with the headsets, if people like them, they will get them. There's no doubt about that. But I wouldn't say that this is a major reason why I'm enthusiastic about NVIDIA.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I was just curious because, like I said, when I saw that, I was wondering how much that public access, because a lot of times things sometimes become things that only the elite can have and that not everybody can have. But I do know that those uh, Oculus sets and other kind of sets have become more accessible. They're not exactly cheap, but they are more accessible. So I do know that that's one of the things that people sometimes get frustrated with companies, because some companies are creating luxury products and all in that space, and not everybody can afford luxury. I wish everybody could, but not everybody can.
Well, actually, the more substantial, the well respected, and very, very profitable public companies are in uh, personal goods items of high quality and very high price. You're talking about like Louis Vuitton, you're talking about Hermes, you're talking about this high, well respected names. So they're not struggling at all, because people with the money, they will buy their products yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and the day after. Now, people who are in the mass market, on the other hand, they are dependent on the economic situation or competition or many, many other factors. So, if you choose between luxury goods production and average day production, go for luxury goods, no doubt
One
about
of
that.
the things that I love about free market capitalism, this luxury goods, say, for instance, some very expensive purses that are made in Hong Kong. And so somebody orders 10,000 of these very expensive purses. The manufacturer makes 20,000, exactly identical, sends the 10,000 over to the buyer and sells the other 10,000, which are identical, to people at the manufacturing price plus a few percentage profit.
Well, look at the how popular these items in North America. Um, Almost any idiot, even if it's a name Alina Habba, she can wear a Hermes crocodile purse, which is worth $80,000. What she's ever done in her life to buy a purse for $80,000? Well, I
Well,
don't.
I'm a retired dentist, and dentists do all right. Actually, in Canada, as a group, they're the highest income people,
Yep.
and we can't afford an $80,000 purse. So, who is buying these things?
Ask Alina Habba to help you.
Milan, why would you want an $80,000 purse? You're a gentleman. Maybe you're going to get it for your wife and everything. But like, why does Milan need an $80,000 purse in the first place and everything? But I'm just curious because both of you are Canadians and everything. But there is a popular business, and it's a popular business here in the U.S. I actually have got one getting ready to come to the house shortly and everything. I was wondering, are companies that do delivery services, is that a popular investment for people? Because I do know here we've got a number of people that do DoorDash and Grubhub, and we've also got people that literally will deliver your groceries for you as well, because not everybody has the time to have their groceries delivered to them. So I just wonder, are those solid investments as well from an investment standpoint? Because I do know DoorDash, or the company that runs DoorDash, is on the public trading stock and all in that space. So do you consider those to be good investments?
So is Uber also publicly trading? Yeah.
Yeah.
Picking stocks is risky. And so, whether you do well or not is only available by hindsight to people like me. Now, there are people like Sasha Starr who are exceptional, the Mozarts of investing. And so, there are not many of those. So, that's picking stocks generally doesn't work. But buying the American economy as a whole, by buying an exchange traded fund which tracks the S&P 500, that has a history of outperforming any other investment over 200 years now, close to 200 years, that buying the American economy as a whole has been the best investment. It's worked out to a little over 6% inflation adjusted. And knowledgeable people say that we should be living on 4% of our portfolios. So if we're making over 6%, it's a very safe way to go. And yes, you can beat that by individually picking stocks, but you'll be wrong half the time, at least half the time. You know, there is what I call rules-based investing, which is correct all the time. And there is judgment-based investing, which is wrong much of the time. So yeah, we have to use some judgment occasionally, that's true, but we should keep it to a minimum and stick with rules. The rules being save. If you don't save, the other 5 don't matter. Number 2 is do it yourself. Number 3 is buy the American economy as a whole by buying an exchange-traded fund which tracks the S&P 500. And rule number 4 is buy and hold. Warren Buffett's favorite holding period is forever. Buy and hold. Number 5 is go to your.
That's what he said. That's not what he does. You should just elaborate on that.
Well, I'll elaborate on that by saying that others are now involved. He's grooming other people. There's a man called Greg Abel, and he's a Canadian, and he plays hockey because he's a Canadian, and he is liable to succeed Warren Buffett, who is now over 90. And so many of the decisions are made by people other than Warren Buffett today. So I think that explains some of the inconsistencies, or apparently the inconsistencies there. So buying the American economy as a whole is, first of all, easy to do, and secondly, it has been effective. Study the past if you would define the future, said Confucius. So study the past. Picking stocks works some of the time, not most of the time.
You mentioned that about in 50% of the cases, picking individual stock is a losing strategy. So 50% you're right and 50% you're wrong. Milan, if I would have these results, I wouldn't continue to run this program long time ago.
Yeah, that's very true and everything. Hey, Sasha, if I had thought about investment when I was young, and I wish I had, and had this kind of education that you to find folks have been giving me, the two of you, as well as Jim and other folks that you've had popping on and everything. Because as a youngster, and knowing what I know now about health, and this comes to you, Milan, I probably would have invested in whatever company makes braces, and I probably would have invested in glasses, because apparently glasses, as I go around, I know I've got the glasses on, and all in that space. I don't have them on at the moment, but I do wear them and everything, and I do know that a number of the population wears glasses, so those glasses probably could have been a solid investment if I knew which glass company.
Well, you know, a survey of a large number of people showed that if they had to do it over again, they would have saved. Now, Sasha says he never saves. He doesn't save. Not many people are market wizards the way you are, Sasha. You know, you're a Mozart in investing. You can't expect everybody to be like that. So saving is, without that, nothing else works. So this survey showed that the vast majority of people who were surveyed, and a very large number was surveyed, if they had to do it over again, would have started saving early in life. Save 10% of every dollar you ever make, and that'll guarantee a comfortable retirement.
You know, Milan, I would like to tell you that instead of savings, I was always motivated how to make more money. That was my motivation number one. When I was, remember, on the last show or so, when I mentioned my first ever investment in this junior company where I started to buy stock at 50 cents, and it went higher and higher, and I made quite serious money. I then wanted to get on the other side of transaction and understand people who start the junior companies, how they do it, what is the formation of their stock, and so on. And nobody taught me. I investigated and read a lot of materials which are published by stock exchanges, by the companies themselves, the structure of the company, and I learned it all by myself. And 3 years later, I started my own public company. Okay, and that's
Sasha, every large company started out as a small company. That's true. Yeah, that's unavoidable. Yeah. So
no. What you're saying is that it's obvious fact. You cannot start a large company without starting a small company. It will grow and so on. But the people who actually started, who actually take the project to a security lawyer and explain what they want to do and pay retainer to that security lawyer, and then they have to find board of directors, and then they have to raise capital. Nobody taught me how to do that. I've learned it myself
you know what,
because
Sasha?
of my curiosity, and without curiosity there is no success in this life.
You know what, Sasha? You are too modest to admit that you are a market wizard and that you are a Mozart when it comes to investing. Most people are not. Most people cannot behave the way you do, which is don't save, but make more, so that you don't need to save. That's not possible for most people. You have to accept that. You know that
Yeah, okay, I would agree with that. But in the meantime, there are a lot of people with degrees in either dentistry or medicine or engineering degree or so on. So that makes these people much better equipped to do many of the things what I've just described. And I didn't have these degrees. All I have was degree in music. It has nothing to do with business at all.
Did I tell you? Did I tell you that we have an international master chess player who did not finish high school? He finished first grade of high school. International master chess player, first grade of high school. He finished last year. He sold his business for $20 million.
Here we go.
Yeah. So he's got this makeup that makes him a star, that makes him a Mozart of investing. Okay. So you're there, but you can't expect everybody to be there. Everybody can do well. You know, the American economy is strong enough for most North Americans to do well. You couldn't have the whole world doing well. You know, you could say that everybody either lives the way we do or wants to live the way we do. And if everybody lived the way we do, the globe would have to be 2-3 times bigger than it is to support that. Not
Hey, Milan and Sasha, just really quickly, isn't part of what it takes to be successful? Because you kind of alluded to it, Sasha, but I had the pleasure last week, it was actually last Wednesday, because my show comes after yours, of interviewing a gentleman that is in the space industry. He's actually there in Canada. I think I told you this before, Sasha, but he is saying that within 5 to 10 years, he is going to build the world's first space hotel. So he's actually saying he's going to put a hotel up on space, and his Bradley is actually a French Canadian, and he's saying he's going to have the investment, and maybe he has more money than sense, but he says he's going to build this, but he's willing to take that risk. But he's also been willing to be in the train for the Winter Olympics at the age of like 39 or something like that, and to run the Iditarod, which is that Alaskan dog race and everything. So he's one of those people that likes to take risk and probably has the money to risk to make those risks and to take those chances and everything. But like I said, I admire him for having the gumption. Don't know that he'll actually be able to pull it off, because that's going to be a lot of nerves to try to build a building. But he claims that he can do it within 5 to 10 years. Now, 5 to 10 years from now,
most people would say that what he's talking about is impossible. But they said that also about Columbus. Right. Columbus was going to sail westward to reach India because the Earth was a ball. Most people didn't buy into that. So he is there, and so today is Columbus. Yeah,
exactly. And he could pull it off.
Let him do that, not just talking about that, but actually do it.
And that's what he says he's going to do. He says he's going to do it. He says he's going to do it in 5 to 10 years. We'll find out. Maybe he'll have Sasha Star or Milan investing in his project, but he has some money that he's already made. So he's, like I said, I know that he's already paid to go on the first or one of those space trips. So he's at least able to afford to pay to go on a space trip. So he's already made that investment.
I regret that I have to leave at this point, and it's been a delight, and I look forward to next week's meeting. And thank you very much for today, and continue with me. Thank you.
Actually, thank you very much for today's discussion, and we are leaving just as well because our time is up. And look forward to see you next Wednesday, same place and same time. Thank you very much, and successful investing.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.